am I going to check this? Because this is mostly about light cruisers. Heavy cruisers are basically light cruisers with more armor. Because what I'm trying to do here is a comparison. I want to know how fast heavy cruisers are versus battleships. Because I believe that battleships are actually faster than they are. So you could just build a light battleship and it would do the heavy cruiser role better. Yeah, heavy cruisers are slightly cheaper, but if we're going naval anyway, that doesn't matter so much. Show outdated. Unfortunately, I don't have any battleships to compare. Oh, it's the turrets, isn't it? Yeah. See, the turrets do reduce their speed. It increases their hit points massively, but reduces the max speed by 6% per heavy turret. But doing that comparison here is basically impossible. "35 knots to your 40. So these are, as a base, faster. I don't know. And the problem that I've had with battlecruisers is, in my mind, battlecruisers should be quicker than battleships, but I am fairly sure that battleships are actually faster than battlecruisers. I'm going to do some research. I'm just going to quickly save the game. I'm going to quit. I'm going to load up as the UK in 1939. We're going to take a look. Because this is something which I want to know. Because I want to understand the role of heavy cruisers, because I never really have. Except for the fact that they're cheap capital ships. But if you're investing in a capital ship anyway, build the big one. But if heavy cruisers and battle cruisers are faster, then yeah, I now understand their role. Right, so let's see. We have... This is the battleship. And the primary difference here will be armor class. So the battle cruiser is faster than battleships. Okay, so that's the big difference here. Less armor, only by 6, but 3 knots faster, which is actually a fair amount. So battle cruisers are indeed faster. So if a tier 2 battle cruiser moves at 32 nautical miles, how much is a heavy cruiser? So if we take the tier 2 cruiser and then beef up your guns to be something reasonable like this, they move at 34 nautical miles. Battle cruisers move at 33, so they are 1 knot faster. Their armor, however, is what, 20 less? So battle cruisers are just better than heavy cruisers. But a heavy cruiser would cost you 4,900, whereas a battle cruiser would cost you 10,000. So a heavy cruiser is half the price. Well, there you go. Battle cruisers are indeed the most maneuverable. Battleships have the most firepower and the most armor, though there's not a huge difference between them and battle cruisers. And then heavy cruisers just half the price of a battle cruiser. And they're also very, very slightly quicker. So yeah, heavy cruisers would actually be good for us. Okay, noted. Yeah, the main thing with the heavy cruiser is I didn't realise they were literally half the price. Comparing heavy cruiser with armor 1, battle cruiser armor 2. I mean, the prices would still be relatively similar. What about this famous Australian spy agency? So the problem with the spy agency is it costs civilian factories. I currently have 6, and it would cost me 5 to do any spying stuff. Not worth the price. Not when we got the UK on our side. And the UK are just, like, god-level spy agency. Aren't subs just stupidly OP in this game? No. People who don't know how to defend against them say that. I am not one of those people. Although I did manage to sink the entire US Navy with Dutch subs. Which still makes me laugh. Oh, who was it I did that to? I'm sorry who that was. Eagle Slayer? Because I was laughing the whole time that was occurring. Do not screw with the Dutch submarines. Oh, the stupidest thing. The start of that multiplayer. So it was a multiplayer game that we did. It was the first one where I said there are no rules. In terms of focuses and stuff. Usually I do like historical, so you have to be the Allies, you have to be in the Axis, you have to be in the Comintern. This time I was like, you take whatever focuses you like. Like, factions are not limited. So the very first thing that happened was America came to me and said, yeah, we want your Caribbean holdings, and you're not allowed to say no, otherwise we'll declare war on you. Okay. So I just built up my entire navy specifically to fight America. I was planning to go far more neutral. I was planning to like build up my fortifications and then basically just become a trade powerhouse and just sell resources to everyone. Because the Dutch have a lot of resources thanks to the Dutch East Indies and Venezuela. But because of that early American threat, and this was like within the first half hour of the game starting, I just turned my entire nation into just this naval superpower, and we sank the entire American Navy. And it was hilarious. The US Navy sunk by Dutch subs. Now that's the US Navy sinking low. Yeah. And part of the reason there was he did not know how to defend against subs. Was that the multiplayer where you won the Civil War of Spain? Yes, I think so. Because that was utterly terrifying. It came within one day of the Carlist revolt firing because the Republicans defended the ports in the north so well. Yeah, I think it was that one. His strategy was subpar. And yeah, that is why we have Helfrich as an emote now. Because Conrad Helfrich is the Dutch submarine commander, and he makes Dönitz look like a novice. Funny story, and entirely true. So, at ParadoxCon, I was talking to Bratton, who was the guy who designed the Dutch focus tree, and I was like, you realise that Helfrich is actually better than Dönitz? And he was like, really? I didn't design him to be that way, because he probably shouldn't be. But we're both Dutch, so... So yeah, Helfrich is actually better than Dönitz. I mean, you do have to take the sub-a-day shipping quota to do it, which is... there. This increases Helfrich's attack, maneuver, and coordination. These are just straight-up bonuses. Doesn't require extra levels or anything like that. And this makes him better than Dönitz. And at that point, Dutch submarines are terrifying. So we do. Galaxy Geek. And the Grey Yago. Thank you very much for the follows. Welcome to the channel. Just use convoy escorts. That's how you defend against subs. You just need to make sure you hit that 100% efficiency. Because here's the thing. When you're in a naval battle, and this includes convoys, your screen is everything. So torpedoes are based on how much screen they have. So if an enemy has 50% screening efficiency, you have a 50% chance to hit. The two are directly proportional. If you have a 90% screening efficiency, they have a 10% chance to hit. If you have a 100% screening efficiency, they cannot hit you. Submarines, at that point, are useless. So if they have good convoys, and if they have a good screen, submarines are completely rendered useless. They cannot physically hit you. Unless they are incredibly fast and you have terrible, terrible convoy efficiency. Because it will take your destroyers a bit of time to catch up with the convoys and protect them. That is entirely based on your convoy efficiency. If, however, you're playing with Fleet in Being and you've actually done the research, your convoy efficiency should be ridiculous and the subs just won't have time to sink anything. Don't subs kill screens. You can try, but if you attack a screen, then you'll reveal yourself and the screen can shoot back. And believe me, screens will destroy you. Huzzah! It's kind of their role. And yeah, you can absolutely do it with really dirt cheap destroyers. Like if I need to do a convoy escort, my destroyers will look something like that. I might put 2 depth charges just for extra shooting. In fact, if they're just fleet screens, they'll be something like this. Like I just probably wouldn't even have sonar. And they're very, very cheap. 730 production cost. They're just there to be in the way. And if you do manage to damage their screen, you have torpedoes on your boats to sink capital ships. And if you're just doing convoy escort, you take away the torpedoes because you're not going to be shooting at capital ships. You add sonar, you add depth charges. Still very cheap. Like that's all you need for a convoy escort. You don't need more. And if you're close to shore, so you're going to get hit by aircraft, you just add anti-air. Where do you see screening efficiency? I can only show you that in a battle. So you would get a screen here when there is a battle going on. It'll be split into 3 columns. So you have like a column here, you have a column here, and a column here. Above each column is a little shield. That's your screening efficiency. Well, torpedoes completely useless against screens. They're not completely useless. It actually depends on what orders you give your submarines. So, with your ships, you have this button here. This is your engagement rules. Usually, this is just like how much of a risk they will take when going after something. You're not fully trained. I'll train you in a minute. So, at medium risk, they will make a judgment call. Can we beat this without losing too much? If they yes, they'll sail out and engage them. These rules mean something different for submarines. So if you engage at low risk, you will only, and this is only for submarine fleets, you will only attack convoys at low risk. If you have medium risk, you will attack convoys, and if you see a capital ship which is unprotected, you will engage the capital ship. If screens appear though, you'll run away. If you engage at high risk, you will engage screens as well. But that is dangerous. That's why it's called high risk. So if you have like tier 4 submarines and they have tier 1 destroyers, you might be able to get away with this. But generally you want to stick it to tier 1, low risk if you're just trying to do trade interdiction, or maybe medium risk if you're using a more general submarine doctrine, which is what I was doing as the Dutch. Put depth charges on screen destroyers. I generally do, because sometimes they will bring submarines into a naval battle for that reason. If they're on medium, then they will target unprotected capital ships. That is in big battles too. But generally, no. Or if you just want a versatile destroyer which you can just assign anywhere, like it's the UK, that's generally what I do, then yeah, I just make a general, fairly cheap destroyer that I can put anywhere. Marco Polo Bridge Incident. Japanese and Chinese forces are skirmished inconclusively over the strategic Marco Polo Bridge located just southwest of Beijing. Okay. Japan's declare war on Zhongzi. So the Japanese-Chinese war has begun. The other thing I just want to quickly point out about ships, which is just useful to know, is this button here allows you to effectively allocate a role. So if you have a destroyer which is a screening destroyer, that is a destroyer that escorts your... Oh, sorry. I'm not going to use that word. Screening destroyers, these are the destroyers that effectively protect capital ships. These are the ones in your battle fleets. Then you can use this icon, and then when it comes to automatically assigning ships to the template, so long as your destroyer has that icon, it will only assign this type of destroyer. And then if you have screening destroyers, that is the one to protect... No. If you have escorting destroyers... Oh, I'm getting myself confused here. If you have escorting destroyers, these are the ones who escort convoys, and you use this icon, then those escort templates will only use the shield. And what I mean by that is if we go into this screen and then we go to this one, which is where you can choose what type of ships to allocate, we can say what type of destroyer these should be by using this button here. Will I be uploading this series to YouTube? Probably. The evil laughter in the multiplayer game was hilarious when I was blockading the troop transports to South America, from South America to Africa. That was funny. That was really funny. I heard someone mention it, and then I looked over and I just started cackling. And then Acebec was like, that evil laughter. And then if you listen to the Paradox stream, or if you see it on YouTube, you can actually just hear me just going ah in the background as I'm just like demolishing the entire Colombian army, which was just stuck in the Cap Verde plain. It was great. I had the most kills. Me, Greece, Submarine Greece, had the most kills. I had no army. None. I just had a complete blockade of Africa. And Bokun was raging at me by the end of that. Ooh, he was not happy. He was not happy at all. And I had Daniel talking to me afterwards saying, oh, subs OP, how should we rebalance them? And at that time, yes, they were OP. And I gave some suggestions and they were actually implemented. Build some destroyers. Yeah, that was the answer. Ironically, the only one to actually build destroyers was me. I was the only one who built destroyers. Even though I was the one with the submarines. I saw that Bo was starting to build tier 3 subs. I was like, okay, better defend against this. I'll get some destroyers. And he said he had submarines in the Mediterranean the entire game. We never saw them. You know why? Because I had convoy escorts. I was using destroyers. That was a fun game. Alright, so, policy of appeasement. We have just finished the focus. Strengthen the ties with the UK. We'll have the coronation visit. Or the Singapore strategy. I don't know what this means. Singapore is too far from London to be secure. Australia will take it upon itself to protect this outpost of the Empire from aggression from others. Does that mean I take over Singapore? Or British Malaya? It might do. Strengthen ties with the UK. Our loyalties lie with the mother country. We shall go where she follows and commit to fighting her enemies. God save the king! Oh. Bloody hell, Australia. So not only do we get the Commonwealth Aircraft Corporation, which gives us those massive bonuses to aircraft production, we also get the Empire Air Training Scheme, which is another bonus to aircraft. All aircraft. Okay, that's ridiculous. I like it. So I think we're going to go strengthen ties with the UK, because this only requires one of the two. And that will lead to the Ratchatabrook, which will give us an elite unit in Sydney. Although that doesn't actually lead to anything that's required. We don't necessarily need... Oh no, that leads to here. Requires a volunteer defence force. Oh, this doesn't require strength and ties? Why is it linked? Shouldn't be. That's just confusing. We'll do it anyway. And we have some decisions available. Don't care about those, but what I do care about are these. So I think now is probably the time we want the Cockatoo Docks and Engineering. In fact, I could probably have done this a little bit earlier for that naval research speed, but never mind. And then the next one we'll get will be the aircraft. We don't have that technology available, so we can't get it yet. Jibai Sanmar joins the Chinese United Front. Right, China. Do you want some guns? Oh, I can't lend you any until world tension's at 50%. Well, sorry, I would if I could. Guangxi Clique joins the Chinese United Front. Bomber Command had a lot of Anzacs. I mean, with the bonuses that Australia gets, I can kind of see that. I love that PDX game as Greece. Yeah, that was such a fun game. His submarines are so fierce, he built the only weapon that could stop them should they slip their leash. Yunnan joins the Chinese United Front, so it looks like China is getting a lot of their United Front together. So long as Guangxi joins, which they did already, that's the big one. Guangxi, huge amount of manpower and also a huge number of resources, and a surprisingly strong industry. So 14 days until the depth charge thrower is done. Then we'll need to refit our destroyers to give them sonar and depth charges. I might also do the same for the cruisers, maybe. The public opposes rearmament. In the upcoming election, support for Labour is still high, the people having confidence in John Curtin's leadership. However, the party's pursuit of increasing Australia's focus on military matters has not been entirely popular with the public. After a significant segment of the citizens considering this ill-advised jingoism, war is yet to reach our border and few would like to see Australia take aggressive action. Cooperating with other major parties who share our concerns for the safety of the nation, we will still be able to rule after the election, albeit with diminished support. So the people will be heard. We changed to low mobilization. Or protecting the sovereignty comes first. That's not dangerous. And changing back to early mobilization would basically cost us 150 political power. I think I'd rather take the stab and war support it, to be honest. Protecting sovereignty comes first. Alright, depth charge thrower is done. So the only other one that we would need to do would be mine laying, although we already have mine layers, right? Yes. We can increase the damage, but I don't think that's a matter of high priority right now. And yes, the extra 3% is just a solid 3% bonus. I don't think it's going to let us go over 50% though. Oh, it's 3% per country. Oh, okay, that is quite strong. So effectively it will take us 4 countries to get to 50 rather than 5. Okay. Just like here. Although that is a 5. Air doctrines. Right, this is the other question. Which air doctrine do we want to go? So our fighters and our close air support are excellent, which would rather lead me towards battlefield support, which has lots of bonuses for ground attack bonus. However, operational integrity would be better. Strategic destruction is better strat bombers. That's not really our role. So I don't think I'm going to go strat destruction. Operational integrity, I'm never really sure about what the bonus there is. Because everything that it does, the other two do better. I know the question may sound weird, but is there a country in the game that can be played throughout the war without participating in it? New Zealand? No, I'd say probably New Zealand. What's the goal in this game as Australia? To not get killed by Japan. There you go, it's a good answer. Switzerland doesn't participate though. Or do you mean someone who sits outside of the war, in which case you could probably get away with playing somebody like Bhutan or Nepal? Well, yeah, most of South America, except for Brazil and Mexico. Mexico being Central America. Possibly Venezuela. Operational integrity, go out on tax. I don't like tactical bombers that much. They have the extra range. Like, the main advantage to me for tactical bombers was the fact that they could go further. That role is kind of being subsumed by scout planes. They can ground attack, but close air support does it better. They can strat bomb, but strat bombers do it better. They can naval attack, but naval bombers do it better. The only real reason to use tactical bombers is if range is a problem, which it rarely is. Which is the best for naval bombers. I think they're all the same. Maybe strat. I did have all of that written down somewhere. Not sure where that notebook is. Because I did a really in-depth analysis of all of the different doctrines. Hang on, let me see if I can find it. Alright, time to go full Arumba. Bearing in mind that this is from a few patches ago. I don't think doctrines have really been changed, but they might have been. So let's take a look. Oh, I actually did this with Man the Guns. Cool. Well done past me. So let's see. Fighter detection. Operational integrity has the best fighter detection. Yeah, operational integrity is mostly if you're being bombed. They're the best for resisting bombing. Interception detection, operational integrity, although strategic destruction can do it if you go the right path. Ground support is definitely battlefield support. Strategic destruction does have the best naval bombing. By 5%. Like, it's not that big a difference. 15% for them versus 10% for the other two. Air support efficiency, strat bombing, battlefield support has the most. Strat bombing efficiency is obviously strat bombing. Escort efficiency, the only one who even gets it is strat bombers. Ace generation, battlefield support, or operational integrity, if you don't take that path. Agility, fighters and heavy fighters are good on both operational and strategic. CAS on battlefield. Experience gain, battlefield. Special effects. Bomber defense is better on strat bombing. Strat bombers have the night bomb penalty reduction. Operational integrity has a 15% air support bonus. And strat bombing visibility minus 50%, so you're less likely to get shot down. Yeah, operational integrity is mostly defending against bombing. So there you go. And I'm not really worried about defending against bombers. So operational integrity might be a UK thing. Possibly Germany, though I think Germany would do way better with battlefield support. But I feel like we're going to get the most out of battlefield support. We're just going to go all in on CAS. National focus completed. John Curtin has travelled to Britain to take part in the coronation ceremony for King George VI and Queen Elizabeth. Following several weeks of lunches, dinners, garden parties, receptions and more dinners, he has finally succeeded in securing a private audience with the new king. After an exchange of pleasantries and small talk, the topic turns to politics and the king asks what he can do to help Australia. Ask the king to make a visit to boost morale, recruitment campaign, or publicly support the government. Of all of these, I would say probably the recruitment campaign. I mean, gaining the base stability would offset the stability we lost, but let's see. That's going to hit 89, then we get 10%, so we'll hit 99. Yeah, we don't need that. So I'm going to say the manpower. Like, 5,000 manpower is actually quite a lot for us. And then the war support too. Yeah. Recruitment campaign. Thanks, King. Right, next. So we can adopt Westminster. We could try the Singapore strategy. Ahead of time bonus on destroyers, but we'll actually need the next one on that. 50% construction speed for coastal forts. Damn. Yeah, we may as well adopt Westminster. We embrace the Westminster system that we have inherited from the United Kingdom.